Imagine a company worth literally trillions of dollars. I mean, we're talking cash reserves bigger than the entire economic output of some countries. Every single second, its glowing digital ecosystem captures more wealth, more attention, and way more influence across the globe. Welcome to This Explainer. Today we're diving into an epic, cinematic story of survival, psychology, and the sheer unstoppable power of human focus. We're tracking a breathtaking arc, you guys. We'll see how a company built in a tiny suburban garage engineered the most astonishing corporate comeback in history, completely rewired how we interact with the world, and how they're navigating this explosive new frontier of artificial intelligence today. Let's get into it.
But we actually aren't starting at the top. We are starting in the absolute abyss. Picture this. It's the mid-1990s, and Apple is in a terrifying financial freefall. In just 18 short months, this former tech darling bleeds over $1 billion. Their product line? A confusing, overlapping mess. Their market share, which used to sit near 20%, has just completely collapsed to under 5%. The magic was gone, the world had moved on to Microsoft Windows, and Apple was basically bleeding out on the operating table.
Okay, let's dive into this, because this number is just staggering. By late 1996, Apple was exactly 90 days away from total bankruptcy. Just 90 days, the literal end of the road. Wired magazine actually ran a cover showing the Apple logo wrapped in barbed wire with just a single word printed underneath: pray. It was the absolute impending collapse of an American icon.
Now snap right forward to the present day. From a company literally 90 days away from death, Apple recently touched an absolutely historic peak. A market capitalization of $5.036 trillion. To put that into perspective, that is a valuation larger than the combined GDP of 140 countries. It's wild. So how on earth did they bridge that impossible gap? Like, what is the secret DNA that saved them and shot them up to this unimaginable height?
Well, to really understand Apple's secret, we actually have to step outside the tech world for a second and look at a universal sociological philosophy. And this poster perfectly illustrates it. This is from the 2015 National Crime Victims' Rights Week. The bold text says it all: engaging communities, empowering victims. Look, whether you are rebuilding a human life or a multi-trillion-dollar company, the core philosophy is exactly the same. True world-changing impact always begins by engaging communities and empowering the individual to direct their own journey. You absolutely have to give people the tools to take back control.
Section 1. From garages to trillions.
So how did that philosophy of empowerment actually spark Silicon Valley? Let's look at the entire microcomputer revolution. See, Apple wasn't born as some sterile corporate monolith. Not at all. It started as a passionate, rebellious community. Back in 1975, the Homebrew Computer Club formed in Menlo Park. This was just an informal gathering of hackers and hobbyists hanging out, sharing ideas and circuit boards out of pure, unadulterated enthusiasm. Steve Wozniak even credits that exact club as his main inspiration. It was a community completely dedicated to a radical idea, taking the massive, complicated power of computers out of the hands of corporations and putting it directly into the hands of ordinary people.
And that passion led directly to the Apple I in 1976. Now, what's truly revolutionary here is that the Apple I wasn't just a machine. It was a tool for empowerment. At a time when computers were these crazy complex kits that practically required a degree in electrical engineering just to solder together, the Apple I was a pre-assembled motherboard. It drastically lowered the barrier to entry. It gave regular enthusiasts the power to create, totally simplifying the path to personal computing.
Section 2. The Simplification Survival Switch.
But as we know, Apple eventually lost that original focus and nearly died in 1997. To survive, they had to flip a switch and rediscover that philosophy of empowerment through simplicity. So the crucial point is, when Steve Jobs returned, he didn't save the company by instantly inventing some shiny new gadget. He saved it with ruthless, brutal triage. He looked at a sprawling, confusing lineup of 350 products and slashed it down to just 10. He killed the clone program, cut out the distribution layers to sell directly to the customer, and just cleaned house. He realized that a confusing product line completely paralyzes the user.
This right here is a massive business strategy. Just look at this comparison. Apple's product line triage is incredibly similar to Toyota's legendary just-in-time lean manufacturing. Both of these strategies focus heavily on eliminating waste and optimizing processes. By cutting out all that clutter, Apple flattened the learning curve. They empowered the user by giving them a clear, simple choice. Less noise meant way more focus, and ultimately, it led to massive profitability and insanely strong brand loyalty.
Section 3. Directing focus
and empathy.
You see, this simplification wasn't just a business operations strategy. It was a profound way to literally hack human psychology, a way to direct focus and empathy. If we go back to 1984, the original Macintosh didn't win because of raw computing power. As this quote beautifully highlights, it won because it prioritized the user experience. It turned technology into fashion. It took those intimidating clunky command line prompts and replaced them with friendly icons, overlapping windows, and a mouse. It made people feel comfortable with a brand new extension of themselves. Think about it like a movie. A really great user interface directs human emotion completely invisibly. When you use a well-designed app, you're not thinking about the code, right? You just feel the result. Well, filmmakers do the exact same thing with cinematography. They use camera movements to seamlessly guide our emotional state, and they do it without us ever consciously noticing the camera itself. Let's look at exactly how this visual empathy works. Take the push-in. By slowly moving the camera toward a subject, a director emphasizes a critical moment or an internal conflict. Think of the iconic restaurant scene in The Godfather. A slow push-in elevates the incredible tension as Michael Corleone wrestles with a life-changing decision. As the camera moves closer, you are literally forced to deeply empathize with his internal struggle. Conversely, we have the pull-out. Moving the camera away achieves the exact opposite emotional effect. It de-emphasizes the subject, signaling disconnection or isolation. Take the movie Joker, for example. Pulling the camera away from Arthur Fleck at his most vulnerable leaves him totally isolated in the frame. The camera is essentially abandoning him, and you, the viewer, feel that profound sense of helplessness right along with him.
And then, oh man, there's the masterful dolly zoom. This creates that famous vertigo effect. You basically dolly the camera in while zooming the lens out, or vice versa. It distorts the background while keeping the subject the exact same size. It brilliantly manifests intense internal or external conflict right there on the screen. The actor doesn't have to say a single word, yet the audience feels the exact psychological shock that the character is experiencing. It's brilliant.
Section 4. The New AI Frontier.
Now, for decades, creating those powerful cinematic emotions required crazy expensive equipment, massive crews, and years of technical training. But just like the Apple I and the Macintosh simplified computing, we are now entering a whole new era. Artificial intelligence is essentially acting as the modern-day Macintosh for cinematic creation. Powerful new models like Ling 3.0 and ByteDance's CDance are suddenly democratizing video generation. They're taking the immensely complex art of cinematography and making it accessible to literally everyone. From just a few simple text prompts, anyone can now generate professional, character-consistent cinematic shots with dramatic lighting and incredibly complex camera movements.
In this next leap brilliantly illustrates where we are heading. Gemini Omni from Google. This takes user empowerment even further through conversational video editing. Get this, you don't even need to learn complex video editing software anymore. You can refine results, swap objects, and change styles just by talking to the AI naturally. And the crazy part? It maintains the physics and continuity of the scene while you do it. The technology is completely fading into the background, leaving only the pure, uninterrupted creative process.
Section 5. Building trillion-dollar ecosystems.
So what does this massive explosion of AI mean for the tech titans today? Let's bring our narrative full circle and look at how Apple is leveraging this exact frontier to build and maintain a multi-trillion-dollar ecosystem. Right now, there is an absolute war happening in AI capital expenditure, or CAPEX. The builders, companies like Microsoft, Meta, Amazon, and Google, they're projected to spend a combined $700 billion this year, nearly all of it on massive AI data centers. Amazon's long-term debt has absolutely skyrocketed just to fund this. But then, look at Apple, the renter. Their capital expenditure is sitting at under $3 billion.
Apple has built this incredibly brilliant hybrid model. Instead of getting bogged down building massive, debt-heavy server farms from scratch, Apple just buys the compute capacity. They use their own proprietary Apple silicon for the hardware in your hand, but they lean on partners like Google to help power the new AI brains behind Siri. This ruthless simplification avoids those massive CapEx pitfalls we just talked about. The result? In a single quarter, they generated over $28 billion in operating cash flow. Yes, $28 billion in one quarter. And trust me, Wall Street is taking notice. A year ago, analysts were actually worried Apple wasn't spending enough on AI. But today, investors are heavily rewarding Apple's highly efficient, cash-rich strategy. Look at this. Apple stock is up around 25% this year, dramatically outpacing pure hardware plays like Nvidia over recent months. By owning the device, which is the ultimate point of user empowerment, Apple can seamlessly integrate the world's best AI without drowning in all those insane infrastructure costs.
So from a small garage in Menlo Park to a 90-day countdown to total bankruptcy, all the way to a $5 trillion peak, the secret has always been exactly the same. Eliminate the complexity, create an invisible, emotional user experience, and empower the individual. Which leaves us with this final thrilling question as we look out at the AI frontier. What happens to our world when the power to create a cinematic, world-changing masterpiece requires absolutely nothing but an idea? Thank you for watching this explainer. Until next time, stay curious.